Hello, Renee Flamond here. Minnie's still in her pajamas because it's a rainy, gray Friday and she looked very happy, so I'm letting her be lazy. This topic is pretty heavy. This is pretty heavy. It's at work in all of us, and it can dictate how we behave with the narcissist. And it can lead you and guide you and control you. We already have the narcissist trying to control us, right? A lot of times it's, for many of us, we go back and forth whether to leave them, whether to stay, whether to put up with things, whether not, okay? When I try to leave, I get pulled back in. Why can't I just leave this narcissist? Or you probably maybe didn't know when it started. Why can't I leave this guy? Girl, whatever your pronoun is, you insert, right? We already talked about that many times. I just can't leave them. You can't picture, know him. And it could be something as inconsequential as his voice, the patterns that you have in your day with him, whatever it is. You can't picture, know him. Can't picture it. Well, this may be why you can't leave your narcissist: addiction. And there's a lot at work here, and I'm going to break it down. And I talked about this once a long time ago, and I've mentioned it woven throughout. But this is a very vital topic because I want to make sure that everyone understands what's happening to their mind and body. It is physical, it's physiological, it's chemical. Things are happening to you that can cause addiction. It isn't just that you love them so much, in other words. You put in work, I get it. You don't want it to end. That would be sad. You don't want to be alone. That's a very valid reason for a lot of people. Just because I like being alone doesn't mean I don't downplay somebody else not wanting to be alone. I know some people, it's very difficult for them. You can't picture starting over alone. You can't picture starting over with somebody else. You can't picture any of it, so you stay. Lesser of two evils. We've all done that. Not even just with the narcissist, with staying with somebody longer, a boyfriend, a husband, whatever. Lesser of two evils. I'm already here. What's out there, I don't know. At least the devil you know. The devil you know kind of thing, right? And all of those things are true. And you're addicted to several different chemicals that have reared themselves throughout the relationship. Endorphins, I'm going to go through them. Endorphins, they stimulate positive feelings, pleasure, and they reduce our perception of pain. They can be released. They can be released if we're in pain to help us deal, or if we're stressed. It's the body's way of coping. Natural pain reliever, endorphins are. Think of an example as a runner, right? They run through the pain. They run through the pain because of endorphins. I told you I used to run. I've mentioned that. I used to run. And in my early 20s, mid-20s, I started to really get into it. I'd go 3 miles twice a day. I'd try 6 miles. And there is a point past which, you know, you cross over something, and if you're out of breath or in pain, it doesn't matter. You feel like you're just flying high with the run. Those are endorphins. They push you through. Your knee is hurting. It pushes you through. I'm going to run through it. I used to say, stopping is not an option. Stopping is not an option. Stopping is not an option. Endorphins are pushing you through the pain. Think of runners, okay? Then you have oxytocin. That's the love hormone. These narcissists are very good getting that one going. That is powerful. Endorphins, by the way, morphine. The word morphine is in that word orphine. It's like the nature, it's like the body's morphine. Okay, if you could think of it that way. Okay, and then we said oxytocin, the love hormone. Dopamine, it controls our emotional responses, allows you to feel pleasure, motivation, a feeling of joyful accomplishment if you got something done. That's dopamine. Cortisol, I think narcissists love cortisol when it comes out in us. That's when we're stressed or afraid. The body releases cortisol as part of that fight or flight feeling that we get. Stay or escape. That's cortisol. And then, of course, there's adrenaline. And this is just a handful. That's the only 5 I want to... The adrenaline, epinephrine is another word they use. That's in response to stress or upheaval. Our bodies can feel nervous, anxious, excited. And by the way, I know I mention music a lot, but if you look up and research these, music is often cited as a means of achieving rushes of these positive ones. It's usually in the list of things you can do, like if it says to raise endorphins or help your adrenaline or help. I know I mention music a lot. If you're not someone that does that, try it. Just start anything, an album, Spotify, Pandora, whatever you do. I'm a big Pandora person. And read the lyrics as you're going along, listen to old songs. Anyway, but yeah, don't let me digress. But I just thought that was interesting. All of these that I just mentioned have very real physical effects on the body, which can be highly addictive. Physical effects. That's some powers they got over us. When they start playing with all those different things that are already in us, and with the way they treat us, they can just make each one react or take a back seat or come to the forefront. Made me very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable once I caught on to that. I like my mind clear and not to have my behavior altered by something beyond my control. You follow me? And once I realized that and I read about that, I'm not addicted to anything. I mean, coffee, that's an addiction. I am. I could never give that up. But I mean, like drugs, alcohol, I don't have a problem with any of that. So to me, I know that it's a very real thing and it certainly alters our brain. I didn't like that feeling. I like to have control of, you know what I mean? And just as the addict will, meaning drugs, whatever, they'll do anything to acquire their drug of choice. Gambling, alcohol, there's all kinds of addictions people can chase. Just as the addict will do anything to acquire their drug of choice, and you have put up with everything to hold on to your drug of choice, the narcissist, because you're addicted. In our correct frame of mind, we would never accept half of what they do to us. If we were clear, unclouded by this chemistry we've talked about before. And not everyone could pull your strings like they do. They do it on purpose. There's been many people that I've been in the company with, charmed by, maybe even had as a boyfriend for a while. It didn't turn out like this. I had control of myself. They weren't manipulative or calculating or trying to infuse a reaction in there. So everything remains copacetic and you can handle yourself. The cycle of being both addicted to the good and to the bad is the trauma bond that you have with this person. They keep you in it. The good, the bad. The good, the bad. The endorphins, the cortisol. The dopamine, the adrenaline. You don't even realize it's happening, but your body knows it. And I don't have to be addicted to anything to not understand what it is. I've watched documentaries, the show Intervention. I know people, right? I think there's a world of education out there now that we all understand it, right? That's a chemical thing happening with them. That's why alcoholics, they get the DTs, they get the shakes. Drug addicts, they go through withdrawal. That's a physical thing that their body needs that substance. You're craving them is why you can't leave them so easily. You need your own hit. We talk about them needing hits to their ego, okay? This is your hit. These are your hits that you're needing. I can't leave him. I need him. We go back and forth. These feelings are the withdrawal. That is your withdrawal from this drug, him. Your narcissist. That's it. And you can crave any of the aforementioned, even if it's negative, like the adrenaline from fighting. Anything, any one of those things you can crave. People think, well, why would I crave, to fight? Why would I? Afterwards, you may crave the endorphins from the good. So you allow him to make up with you. We don't even realize it as it's happening. All we know is the thought of leaving feels impossible. You can't do it. That's because of the addiction you have to the narcissist, the addiction you have to the cycle, the addiction you have to these chemicals, to this chemistry, and what happens. To snap out of it, you got to go through those withdrawal symptoms, craving them, wherein you're really craving one of those chemicals, and it's tough. But once you're aware that a lot of it is chemical, now you can fight it like quitting anything. You have to go through the steps. If you're doing it alone, that isolation may add to the difficulty. I understand the secrecy, because much of it is terribly embarrassing. And you know you won't listen to people, so you don't want to hear people. Because you deep down inside not ready to quit this because you're addicted to them, even if you don't understand the verbiage. They can't tell you to just leave. No one can tell you it doesn't work. Just like with any addict, you can't tell them to quit. You may have had some of these chemicals, if not maybe all of them, around as a child in your family growing up. I knew that was the case this topic, I spent a long time on this topic. I dissected my entire childhood, everything. And you hear the terms addicted to drama, okay? That's been said about me many times in my life. I remember being addicted to drama. I didn't even understand what that meant. That can be real. If you grew up in a household that was dramatic, okay? You have loud arguments. You're very boisterous people. There's fighting. There's drama. Then there's great, excellent times. You may be in a position now that you crave those chemicals. You're taught. You experienced that in your youth. It's where you're comfortable. You got used to it. We're comfortable where we feel at home like that. It feels like home, even if it's negative. Think of what addicts do to get their substances. They'll do anything. We've all learned and seen enough in life or on TV or whatever. Drugs, cigarettes, gambling, alcohol, sugar, carbohydrates, exercise, coffee would be mine. They say cigarettes is the toughest addiction to beat. I couldn't do it with coffee. I've been drinking, and I don't want to. I don't care. I've been drinking it since I was 9 years old. Even when I was pregnant, I said to the doctor, I go, okay, give me the real skinny on coffee. Because if you tell me not to drink it for 9 months, I won't. If you tell me to stand on my head every day for 10 minutes, I'll do that. I'll do whatever you say to have a healthy baby. And knock wood, I did have a gloriously healthy baby. But I said, give me the real skinny on coffee. Because I said it will be a struggle for me if I have to go without it. I said, I see people drinking soda when they're pregnant. I see people eating candy when they're pregnant. I don't do those things. So can I really not have coffee, or is that a myth? He said, Renee, if you want to have your 1 cup in the morning, maybe even 2, that's fine. I wouldn't drink it all day like I do for a drink. I drink coffee all day, like a drink. He said I wouldn't do that. Okay, I could do that. The minute she was born and she was on her bottle, I was like, brew that pot of coffee. And I went right back to drinking it all day. It's just an addiction I'm not interested in quitting, right? But they're powerful. They are powerful. And that's what we think about anyway. I digressed into coffee, but that list, those are the things we think of when we think of addiction. Our minds don't go to chemicals that can be brought onto you through emotions, but they are very real. They're very real. And once you decide, if you fight off the initial cravings of wanting to hear their voice, I just want to talk to them, I just want to have a chat, I just need closure. We talked about that. We just recently talked about that. You may be using the quest for closure just so you can hear their voice, because that gives your system a hit of the dopamine, and that's what you're craving. But you don't even know, and you interpret that craving as a need that you're missing them. Next time you get one, stop yourself and say, wait a minute, is this physical? Because you're bigger than that. We can fight that physical craving, right? I could give up coffee if I wanted to. I don't want to. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I drink it black. I don't have a ton of sugar and cream in it. It doesn't bother me, right? I think I'm a healthy person. I don't think it's bad for me. I've read everything. I understand both sides. So I don't want to quit that. If you want to quit this narcissist and then you're aware of it, like if you're a gambler or a drug person or an alcoholic, they say you have to be aware of it first. Then maybe you won't misinterpret the need to hear their voice as a sign you're supposed to be with them or that you're missing them. You might be physically craving something from them. Think of cigarettes. Those of you that have quit cigarettes, man, I'm telling you, they say that is the toughest one. I've never smoked cigarettes, so I don't get it, but they say nicotine is the toughest habit to break. Now, out of close to 800 subscribers, some of you are smokers that have quit. If you've done that, you can do this. My mother quit cigarettes 20 years ago. That habit is so strong. When somebody lights up, she goes, oh, I would light up again right now. She loved it. Loved it. It's still with her. Nicotine's tough. Many of you have done it. And many of you have quit some of the other things, maybe. You have to regard it as that powerful and attack it with the same vengeance you would anything else you want to quit. It's a real thing that happens to our brain. It's real. And I want you to understand that.